Like in any application, how we organize our API code is important to how easy it's going to be to add to it. So we're going to use the MVC architecture for this server app, which is Model View Controller. And you'll see as we progress that this is a really logical and simple approach to doing it. So let's begin by setting up a controller. So we'll actually create the directory first, which is going to be server controllers like that. And then we can create our first controller file. And we'll call this one items.js. And this file is going to house the logic for any route that concerns items. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to cut the function from our the items endpoint that we've already created. We're going to cut that function out now. And we're going to now open up the items controller file here. And we'll paste this in. Now, what we're going to do is actually assign it to a value exports.list like that. Now, the reason we do this is because this file is a common JS module, and adding any properties to this exports global will allow us to import those properties in another file. And so we'll call this one list, since this is a function which in a moment is going to load a list of items, so we'll see that in a moment. Next, we're going to create a router file as well. So again, we will create a directory for those. We'll go server routes, and the first file we'll create will be server routes, and this one will be items.js as well. Now what this file is going to be used for is to link our HTTP request to the corresponding controller method. So let's open this file now. And what we're going to need to do first is to load an express into this file. So we'll go const express equals require express like that. Once we've done that, we're going to create an instance of the express router. So we'll go const router equals express router like that. Now this router object, it makes it easy to create a well-organized collection of routes, as you're going to see in a moment. And finally, we're also going to need to load in the controller module we just created. So we'll go const item controller equals require, and this is a local file. Controllers items like that. All right, now let's use this router object, and we're going to call the route method first. And this is how we're going to define a route. Now this method takes one argument, and that's the route URI. And so the URI, it's not actually going to be items, it's just going to be this root URI like this. Now the reason we do that is because this file is going to be used for any routes that are children of the subpath items. So for example, items ID, which would look like this. In this file, it should just look like this. So that's the logic of that. So this one is obviously for the root path items like that. Next, what we're going to do is we're going to use the get method. And this is going to, basically we're going to load that list function that we did before. And so what this does is it assigns that function to this route. All right, now finally at the bottom of this file, what we need to do is export the router so that we can use this file as a common JS module as well. So we'll go module.exports equals router. The last step now is to load the router into our main script. So we're going to remove any route code from the file, and instead what we're going to do is we're going to go app, and we're going to use the use method. And then the first argument to that will be the items URI. And the second argument, we're going to require the routes file. So we can go routes item like that. So what this does is it assigns the router that we just created to this items URI. So with that done, we have a much more robust architecture for our app. So you'll see shortly that this is a really effective way to organize our API code. So let's test this and make sure everything works. So what we're going to do is turn on the server again. So we'll go npm run serve server. Now that that's running, I'm going to come over to Postman and I'm going to send off this request again. And there you go, you can see that it works.